Hi, Paul.
Hi.
Welcome to GPeC Summit. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Yeah, thank you very much.
For those watching, Paul Rouke is CEO and founder of Proud. I hope I saw that. I said that
It's
correctly.
PRWD.
Oh, Pierre. I thought there was a different naming to that. I don't know why. When you read it,
Yeah.
obviously it makes sense, but I thought there was a spin to that. So
That's fine. That's absolutely fine.
Um, Paul, I wanted to pick your brain a bit about some of your experience today. Let's just dive right in, if that's okay with you.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. When talking about small online retailers, what do you think they should focus on given their limited resources? On quick wins or long-term optimization tactics?
So initially, very much so initially, quick wins. So quick wins through making improvements to their website. So they don't need to be big page redesigns. They can be. Typically many usability kind of issues that exist on websites that you probably won't really pick up unless you do some user testing and do some user research. So there's basic user research. There's like remote user research. So there's what users do and usertesting.com. So they're the two kind of very cheapest ways to get user feedback. Or you can start to think about moderated, like one-to-one user research, where you actually spend time a bit more in depth with customers or with target customers to understand what are the usability issues through the website and how can we tailor the messaging or how can we prioritize information so that more people convert. So that can be very cheap, very, very cost-effective as a foundation.
Definitely. I think that is a very good way to go. We've tested it ourselves. I work for a startup, so yeah, I get it. How should usability be prioritized when making business decisions with a limited amount of resources?
So usability, and just baseline usability, which is, you could summarize it as like ease of use or making simple, intuitive experiences. It really should be a baseline for any business, any retail business or non-retail business. So it's kind of getting the foundations right. So it should always be top priority. And to understand where the usability issues are, again, it's that understanding your customers. It's doing some user research. It's you've got to do your kind of groundwork and homework. It's you don't get all the answers by looking at articles or tips or best practices. You need to understand your visitors and your customers.
I love how that idea has been going around today. I think it's very important to start with the user and start to understand, but test your assumptions, because obviously I don't think we ever get to know the user that as well as we want to. So we gotta keep trying.
Yeah. I think a lot of businesses, they talk about being customer centric and they say we know our customers, we understand our customers, but genuinely the reality is they typically don't, and they've not spent that time understanding what motivates their customers, what it is their customers and visitors are looking for. So it's very, very easy to say, and it makes a lot of sense, and you think every company is doing it, but right now most businesses, most retailers don't really understand their customers anywhere near like they should do.
About usability and going back a bit to this idea, how can online retailers educate themselves to approach usability and optimization in a methodical way and not be tricked into following trends which may not be right for them?
The simplest way when moving into like A/B testing, so you're wanting to run a test to improve your website, is to have a why behind your test. So have a genuine reason for that test. And the reason isn't good enough to say, we've seen this on another website or we've seen this on a case study, so we think it'll work for us. That isn't a good enough reason. It's absolutely core and fundamental to have a reason why behind your test. There's many businesses still now testing without a really intelligent hypothesis behind the test. So it doesn't need to be a big hypothesis, it can be something quite simple, but just having a reason that you're doing it, and it's driven by the data and driven by your kind of customer insights. That should be in place for any business.
So do you think, in terms of case studies and success examples, do you think online retailers can replicate successful case studies on their own users? Should they, or is trial and error a better approach?
So there's definitely testing opportunities that you can get kind of inspiration from other sites, and as people have been talking about today, the reality is like 99% of people's time online is spent on other people's websites rather than your own. So running tests where you're following kind of design, like kind of design patterns or design, like standard experiences that like the big retailers, for instance, adopt, rather than reinventing the wheel, is often the case. It's the kind of simplicity of, right, we don't need to be too creative. We can just do the very basics really, really well. So you can certainly get inspiration from that, but you still need to understand what are the messages or what are the nuances around our customers and our visitors that we need to put into that test. You can't just take something and copy it, but you can get inspiration from other tests, particularly if they're from credible sources. And I'd certainly advocate our resources library as providing a lot of very credible tests where there's key themes that retailers can take into their business.
Excellent. Sounds like a great resource. What are some vanity CRO metrics online retailers should avoid so as not to waste their resources?
So the simplest and most important metric to avoid is basically measuring and talking about how many tests that you've run. So have we run 2 tests this month, or 5, or last year we ran 10, 15 tests? That number, other companies, it could be 50 tests, depending if it's a much bigger retailer. That number can sound good. It can sound like a high number, and you can think, wow, like you've done all this testing. That is a vanity metric, because ultimately, if you've run 10 tests and only 2 of them have been successful, then what happened with the other 8 tests? That's 8 tests where you've wasted design time, you've wasted research time, or you've not done research, or you've wasted development time. So a much more of what we call like a sanity metric is the percentage of the tests that you run that deliver an uplift. So, do we have a 50-50, like half of our tests are successful, or we should be aspiring for more like 75%. So as an agency, we're probably like 3 and 4 tests are successful because there's a hypothesis behind the test. So that's just comparing. It's not about the number of tests; it's about the quality of the test. So they'd be the 2 kind of metrics, or the different types of metrics that companies are using, or what they need to move towards using. I do have an article that I've written specifically on metrics, if that would be useful. So it's just on a Bitly link, so it's Bitly, and it's / sanity CRO. So yeah, it's sanity metrics rather than vanity metrics, which is how many tests have we run, because that's irrelevant.
I look forward to reading that as well and getting into depth. Thank you very much for taking the time today to share these insights with us.
Thank you.
How has been the entire GPeC experience for you so far?
Yeah, it's been a fantastic conference to come along to. I think for me, it's been a privilege for me to be alongside such other great speakers that have spoke around the world like myself, and it's in great company. There's a lot of enthusiasm. It sounds like Eastern Europe and Central Europe, there's huge growth opportunities for businesses. So it's fantastic to be a part of it, and I look forward to hopefully coming back maybe next year.
Hopefully we'll have you here again soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.